Hello friends, welcome to my channel Go Digit. Today in this video we will extend our learning of logic apps and the integration of Business Central with other systems. So in today's topic we will be covering up the concept of webhooks. So webhooks, as if I explain you in simple terms, it is like an API only. However, when we say about an API, which helps in the integration between the two different system, where an external system will send the request to the Business Central to get some data, and then Business Central as an API response will send the required data for which the external system requested. However, there are various occasions where we need, in the external system, they want to react accordingly as per the changes done by the user in the Business Central, right? So, for example, for the need where let's say user is changing anything into the customer table or the vendor table, then immediately Business Central should send some sort of notification to the external system, and then external system should react. So here in this particular requirement, external system is not sending an API request first, but Business Central only initiating and sending the notification. So for this complete exercise, webhooks is a concept which actually helps the Business Central to send a notification, right? So now, when we understand the concept of webhook from the definition perspective, let's take an example where this is our main application, which is the Business Central in our case. And in the second case, we will try to generate or try to create a logic app in which Business Central will send the notification. Okay, so the very first thing is that this is the postman. Here I have already defined some sort of URLs which needs to be sent in order to play with the webhooks, right? So in order to save time, so let's go on one by one. So first of all, before I start with this active subscription, I just like to show you this environment. Here what I defined is the few variables, like what is the tenant ID, what is the environment name, what is the company ID, and what is the base URL. So base URL for the APIs is, as you can see, api.businesscentral.dynamics.com v2.0. So this is, you can treat it as a base URL as for now. Maybe in the maybe in the future, if Microsoft change this, you can change this endpoint. But for the moment, this is the base URL, or this is the standard API endpoint. Okay, so this is common, so that's why I created it as a variable. Company ID, because in my case I'm running multiple companies in my tenant, right? So if I show you this one, okay, so this is my Business Central. Here you can see that it has one company and it has another company as well. So in order to play with respectfully particular company data, then I need the company's ID as well. Okay, so for that I get my company ID using this API only. I will show you now. However, this environment name and the tenant ID is, as you know, that from where we can get this. So this is the few variables I have defined. Then if I go back to my collections, and here if I show you, for example, all standard APIs, right? So this is something like, you can see that my variable is base URL, which is having this value, my tenant ID, which is having this value, then the environment name, and then this standard get request if I send. So from when you send this request, obviously you will use a type OAuth as, then you will see that everything you can get that number of page APIs are currently available in my Business Central. Okay, same now if I show you from the active subscriptions part, so one URL which helps us to identify the active subscriptions attached to my Business Central. This subscription means that it is nothing but the like how I can explain that if any external system is already tied to your business central or not. Okay, so one thing is that we can use the postman and send this URL. As you can see, base URL, tenant ID, environment name, API v1.0, and the subscription. So this is the URL which you have to type and send the get request. Yes, along with the get request, we need to basically first of all check that uh, not like this, but yeah, if I now, of course, like we have to set the auth as well. And now if I click on send, so you can see I'm getting this type of output, which means that currently value is blank. That means there is nothing. This is how I can test in the web, in the postman. But if I show you in the business central also, so let me go back to the main dashboard, and here, or if I show you in the VS Code, so there is one table which is called API webhook subscription, and it is a part of system module, right? So you just have to run this table in order to get the information of your active subscriptions, right? So let me type table equals to one, sorry, 98. Okay, so when you run this table, it will give you the information of the current active subscriptions. Ah, okay, no, it's wrong. Let me see what is the ID. Uh, 95 only, and I am using what, 98. Sorry, I used wrong. Table is equal to 95. So this is the way through which in the business central also you can see the active subscriptions. So you can see this table is currently blank. Okay, now if I come back to my postman, and when I run this URL and send a get request to it to get the list of active subscriptions, I get blank, nothing. So both are same. Okay, now you can see here that I have one webhook supported request also I have defined here. So this is something, if I show you the URL, it contains base URL, tenant ID, environment name, API, Microsoft, runtime, beta, companies, company ID, and then webhook support request resources. Okay, so this is the URL which you have to run and send a get request, which helps you to get the list of current active webhook resources supported APIs. Okay, so when I send this, you can see here in the preview I get the list of all the active webhook APIs. All, or I should say like this, that the APIs which support the webhook. Okay, so from this to this, okay, it does not matter, like it basically have a very small difference when it comes to when I say the standard APIs and the webhook supported request. Of course there's one difference of URL, but plus the difference of uh, like because all the APIs does not support the webhook, which means that if your API is dependent on temporary table, then it will not come into this list. If you have defined your API page with respect to the system table, then also it will not visible here. Okay, so that's why if you have to see that in when you run this webhook supported request, it will give you the list of all the active API pages which you have defined, whether it's a standard or custom. But in case one of your API page is not visible, then that means that is either based on temporary table or like it is using the system table. Okay, so that's why I use this as a separate entity so that I can show you that in order to get the list of active APIs, you can get supported webhook APIs, you can get it from here. Okay, now another one is custom API webhooks. Although there is not a big difference here, I'm using the same URL. Only thing is I'm filtering with the resource column equals to default publisher. Why I'm doing this thing? Because I want to filter the resource. As I showed you here in this output, I have this resource column which is telling me or giving me the list of all the active API pages running in the Business Central or active in the Business Central. However, they are all standard. And I wanted to see my API pages which I built. And for those API pages, I used the publisher as the default publisher. So that's why I use this filter is equal to resource equals default publisher, because I know I have the resource column only in this webhook supported request, and from there I can filter the string based on my API publisher. So that's why you can see here that I am filtering this record. And then when I run this, I will get the output of my active API, custom API pages, which are two by nature. One is customer operations and second is clustered index test, right? So this is something which is very helpful based on like you can segregate to see the list of your custom APIs which support the webhooks and all the current active APIs which support the webhooks. Okay, so after we know the basic information about how to see the current active subscriptions of the and how to get the list of active webhook APIs and how to get the list of sub custom API webhooks. Okay, now let's go to the first thing, which means that as I showed you, currently there are no subscriptions. So in order to go with this register subscription, so this is the URL, base URL, tenant ID, environment name, API, version 1.0, then the subscriptions. So you have to use this URL with the post request. Okay. Along with that, you have to go to the body, and in this body, we have to pass three parameters. One is the notification URL. Notification URL is nothing but the URL given by your external application in which the Business Central will send the notification. Okay. Resource is something similar to the API request, like which API request you want to send. For example, as I showed you, either you can use your custom API, either you can use your any particular standard. So we have like from this, I use the customer one. Okay, so for that, I am just typing this URL that I am interested in order to send the information of all the changes done by the user in the customer API page or like customer table. Okay, so this is the URL version 2.0 tenant ID, like environment name, API version 1.0. Here I am adding one more parameter which is called companies. Okay, and that's the company ID. Okay, which basically helps to tell the system that only when the user change in this particular company and in the customer API, then only external then only the business center will send a notification. And this client state is nothing like it's just an optional one, and you can type any string which is just for matching purpose, that whenever system will send this notification, it will attach this request. Okay, so now these three parameters we have to pass. So resource is we can get it from the business central. As I showed you, you can get the active list and then use any API which you want to. And client side, as I told you, this is the one. But this notification URL is we have to get it from our external application, and in our case it will be the logic app. So let's design one logic app and click on select and this time I will select my subscription and name it as test. Click on review plus create, and yes, then create. It will not take much time, as we have seen in the past 2 weeks as well, where we were learning about the concept of logic app. Okay, so now currently, yes, deployment is successful. Go to the resource, and now I'll click on edit, and the first trigger which I will add is the HTTP request, when the HTTP request is received. Okay, you don't have to do anything here, just click on save, and when you save it, as we have seen in last time as well, you will get this URL. So this URL you have to copy and pass it here in this parameter notification URL, paste it. Okay, so this is done. Like, my post request to register the subscription is almost done, which where I have passed the correct URL in the post request. I provided the 3 parameters in the body, which is very much fine. But when I will run this up, it will give me the error. So let me click on send. As you can see, I'm getting this error which is saying service has not provided a valid validation token, which means that when Business Central wants to send the subscription or register the subscription with the external system, it sends the validation token as well, and expect that the external application should send back the same validation token. Okay, so it is managing to send the request. If I show you in the run section, you can see I run this up, and when I will see this in the output, you can see that in the body I'm getting this client state, in the headers I'm getting the values, and in the queries I'm getting the validation token. So Business Central is sending the validation token as well, and expecting that this external application should get this validation token and send me back as a response. If external application will not send this same validation token as a response, it will get there. Okay, so that means I have to edit it again, and now I have to add this condition that uh, add this condition that triggers output. Okay, so whatever the trigger is running before this condition, in that output there will be one parameter which I showed you, queries. It should have the validation token, right? So this is we have this is how I will add this condition, and it should be not equals to null. Okay, so let's add it null. So what I'm adding in this condition, that in this trigger output, the queries parameter should have the validation token, and it should not be null. When it will not be null, as I showed you that we are receiving validation token, so it will come into the true. When it will not come, it will come into the false condition. So when it will come as true, we have to send the response. So what response we have to send? The status code is 200. That 200 means okay, it is fine. Okay, and then in the body, if I go back again, I have to pass the same output, the same validation token. I will pick, sorry, from the queries, I will pick the validation token and send it back. In the header, I will type as content type will be plain text, because I just have to send the simple uh, validation token as a text. Okay, so that's it. Now click on save. So my logic app is done. Let's go back, and if I again send the request, so you can see that 201 created, which means that now it managed to register the subscription successfully to my application. And you can see that it is giving me the e tag, which is, you can say that as a uh, as an id only, or as a primary key only, attached to your subscription, so that whenever you will change or do the modification, you can do on this basis, and next time for any next change, it will get changed again. Okay, subscription id is of course the your particular current subscription which you send. It give every new register subscription as new id. So for our subscription, this is the id, and this is the notification url, this is the resource, timestamp, user id, last modification, client state, expiration date time. So you can see expiration date time is 8th of January, which means that every subscription which you send must have an expiry of only 3 days. So after 3 days you have to register again. There's a concept for that, like you have to send the patch request to extend the subscription. Otherwise the standard subscription will always come for 3 days only. Okay, so this is how I have managed to generate the or register the subscription. Let's see in the business central first. If I refresh this page, I will get the data here as well, uh, which will tell me that one subscription is currently running, and you can see this is the same subscription id, and entity set name is customer, company name is Kronos, user id is this, and so the same information which I showed you. Now if I show you my logic app, click on run, and this is which it ran successfully. So now if I show you this thing, first of all, this thing, it has this query validation token. Since it has the validation token, so this condition gets true, gets passed, and then it comes here in the response. And in the response, you can see it is passing the body. The body contains the validation token only, and so does it is passing the same validation token to the business central. So that is how my subscription registered successfully. Right now, basically based on the false condition, if I want to set, you can define it based on your particular business case. You can use it, for example, in the false, you can use business central get record, and then you can select your particular environment, then the company, then the API category is 2.2 only in our case. Then you can select your API. Then in the row ID, because I'm getting the data, now when I will send again, I will show you when I will send again, I will not have to register the subscription now, but now I'm ready to do the changes in the business central customer table, which will automatically send a notification to my logic app. Right, so it will send the body. Right, so for that, trigger body. Okay, then uh, what it will send, it will send the value, and I have to pick the first parameter, which is the system id in our case. So I will just type system ID. Right. So just have to pass this row ID. Okay, I'm getting some error. Maybe just a second. Okay, let me type again trigger body and then value. From the trigger body, whatever the value I'm getting, from there I will pick the system ID. And just click on add. Okay, so now it gets added, which means now further, based on your business scenario, like after getting this data, you can add any case, like whether you want to send it to the SharePoint, to the Microsoft Teams, and so on. But just like to show you what this value will hold now when the subscription is successful. Okay, let me come to the test. And now since my subscription is successful, so I don't have to send this register subscription again. But now I can go back to my customer, and let's say I want to change this trade research as uh, like webhook testing and credit limit. Okay, just this thing. Okay, I changed this thing. Now let's go back. If I come now to my logic app and just refresh, so you can see currently it did not receive any trigger or any notification from the business central. Although the webhook subscription is successful, but still business central takes time, because there are times when you will be changing multiple customer in one go, or maybe you will be changing multiple fields in the one customer card. So it's not like that as soon as you validate or you make a change in one field, immediately the business central will send a notification. No, it will take some bit of time, and then you can see that I received, and let's click on it. And now let's see the output one by one. So first of all, this is the thing, and this is the output. Let's see the output. Here you can see that I am getting subscription ID, which is same client state, expiration date, time. Now in the resource and the change type, you can see these two parameters. Resource is saying that something in the customer on the registered subscription webhook, this customer, it's a customer ID. If I show you, basically you can see from the inspect pages, inspect pages and data, and then you select this one only. But if you search the system ID field, which I have added in my condition as well, system ID. So you can see for this customer, the system ID is CBC 4B433, and it is same CBC 4B433. So that means when business centers is sending the changes done in that particular customer card to my logic app, right? Let's cancel this output. So this trigger is receiving, right, in the output. Now let's see the condition. Condition is now turning to false, because in my condition I was checking the validation token, but validation token I did not receive anymore, because the I'm not registering a new subscription, but I'm using the existing subscription. So that's why if I extend this, you will see that it did not run, because now condition is false. So it does not require need to go to the true condition, but it will go to the false. And here if you see the business central, show raw input, it is nothing. uh, but you can see the output status code is 200. And now if I show you the raw output here, you will see along with this headers, the body part is saying that this is particularly the ID, the card. Okay, it is sending me all the customer information, because obviously the main API I'm using that only. However, if you see this one, in this, the change name is, uh, I'm getting webhook testing for this customer 20,000, right? So currently my API is sending me all the data, because obviously I've not added any filter or any condition that it should pick and filter only that particular customer for me. Okay, so you can see that updated values I'm getting. So now it's depend on me if I want to add more actions and the triggers to fetch only or to filter only the particular customer which I'm getting in the ID. Like as I showed you that the customer ID is there, so I can add a filter to go and fetch only that particular ID, and then I can play with that like further if I want to send it to the SharePoint and Teams and so on. Okay, I did not want to include the further process also in this video, because the video is already so much like 20-30 minutes uh, video already I made. So I don't want to extend it further and make it more longer. So I hope now you understand the basic concept of webhook, like how we can see the current active subscriptions. Okay, how we can see the active webhooks APIs, custom APIs, and how we can register the same. Let's quickly delete. Okay, so to delete the subscription, concept is same, the URL is same. However, after the subscriptions, you have to type the subscription ID. So for example, if I go back to my register subscription, I can copy this subscription ID uh, from here. This is my subscription ID. I can take this, and in the delete subscription, I can paste my subscription ID. So this is the one change. In order to delete this in the URL, you have to do. Plus, you have to come back to the headers and add this header called if match. Okay, if match you have to add. You can get it from the list. Like from here, you can see if match is there, and then you have to add it, right? So you can add so, and in the value, what we have to type this e tag. Okay, so just paste this e tag here, and of course I need to remove this escape character. So I was getting an error. So when I asked the API, it told me that you have to remove this this escape because I was getting this base 64 validation error. Okay, so if I don't do this, just like to show you, click on send, I'm getting this request data is invalid. So let me delete the same, and then send, and now you can see no content, which means the subscription is deleted. And if I run the active subscription again, I'm getting nothing, right? And even in the business central, if I want, I can delete the same and run the table 95, which it will show me that now active subscriptions are 0, nothing, blank. Okay, so just one is, if you look at this API webhook notification, like if you look at this explorer, you will see that API webhook subscription which I showed you. Then we have this API webhook notification table as well, which will receive the list of all the notification which Business Central will be sending to the external application. And so you can see this table as well in order to see the records, and then plus the code unit which actually doing the operation of sending the data from business central to the other